welcome to Victoria City Championship Football for 1990. It's welcome to Victoria City Championship Football for 1990. It's the Stroman Raiders and the Victoria High Stingarees. This is Don Brubaker along with Jeff Williams here for another great contest between these two old rivals. And Jeff, of course, one of the things that have been most talked about this week, the rivalry has almost taken a backseat to the off-the-field endeavors involving the Victoria High Stings football team.
Exactly. Coming into the game, the Stings, and it appeared everything was all cleared up. But as we found out earlier today, there's still some more meetings that needs to be taking place. And a couple of the other schools in the district want to hold a meeting, and they want to just try and carry this thing out. I don't think that will have any effect on the Stingarees' play tonight, though.
They're the Stroman Raiders. Their record 1-8. They started the year with a victory over Del Rio. Haven't won a ball game since, so they really want this one. I know especially the seniors that I talked to want to finish out in grand style. Stingarees coming down through the tunnel there, formed by the Victoriadors, led by co-captain Cedric Marshall. The Stings lost their first ball game of the year to San Angelo Central, and they haven't lost since. They won 7 straight district ball games, and if they win tonight over Stroman, it'll be their second straight year of an undefeated district record.
That's quite right, Don. Well, the Stroman Raiders tonight coming in, as you said, they won their first game. They would like nothing better than to end this season with a victory. They definitely have their work cut out for them.
Interesting note, Jeff, is that both head coaches tonight are looking for their first win in the Victoria City Championship. Of course, first-year head coach Mark Reeve directing the Stingarees, and Ray Despain in his second year with Stroman fell last year to Victoria High by a score of 24-6. Overall, the series stands at 14 wins for Victoria High and 8 for Stroman. In the last 5 years, Stroman won back in 1985, 27-20. Victoria High ran off 2 straight wins, 23-0 and 13-10. 88 2 years ago, and Harry McCluskey's last game as head coach of Stroman. The Raiders won that one by a score of 20-7. And last year at Alan Waddell's last year as head coach of the Stingarees, he went out as a 24-6 winner over the Raiders. Of course, this year also is a little bit different in that it's going to be the last game played in the regular season for both teams, and there's head coach Mark Reeve we were mentioning.
Right. Yes, it is. It's going to be the last game in the regular season for both teams. One thing about this game, as anyone from Victoria knows, this is quite a tradition, and having the game being played as the last game on the schedule was always a lot of fun as far as the cross-town rivalry is concerned. And I think that's what makes this game a little bit more interesting. Also, one thing we might have noticed tonight is it's perfect football weather, it seems like, for the first time this season.
Stroman has won the toss, and they will defer. The Raiders will defer until the second half. So apparently the Raiders will take the wind, and I really don't blame them considering the wind factor tonight.
Yes, as reported at about 7 o'clock this evening, it was about 53 degrees and the wind blowing out of the northwest, about 6 miles per hour, I believe.
So the Stings will receive the opening kickoff, and will defend the east goal. The Stings, of course, have already qualified for the playoffs, and as Jeff was mentioning earlier, there's still some question about that, but we hope to have that all resolved Monday. It should have been resolved today. Shouldn't have even gone to today, actually, but they've decided to do that, they meaning the rest of the schools in District 35A that are outside of Victoria, Texas.
Maybe if you could, Don, we'd like to explain a little bit to everyone just what has taken place earlier today. I believe it's initiated by the principal down in Alice, who is the head of the District 35A committee.
executive committee met this morning down in Alice, and they decided that they'd received some proof from Victoria High, the VISD, and the TEA that everything was okay. But apparently they weren't all that satisfied. So they are going to come here to have a meeting with Victoria High officials Monday morning. In fact, a special committee has been appointed, including the principals of Alice, Miller, and Ray High Schools. They'll meet with Victoria High people. They asked for TEA people to be here. They decided not to be there. So 10 o'clock they'll have that meeting, and then have another meeting in Corpus of all the District 35A people late Monday afternoon, early Monday evening. So maybe we'll get this settled one of these old years. I hope so, soon before the Stings go into the playoffs.
Well, Don, I think if the TEA was satisfied with the corrections and the divulging of information that Victoria school officials did on Wednesday, I think this matter should be done and over. But who knows? Time to play football now, though.
Back to receive for the Stings is James Duffy Jewett and Tyrone Hart. And to kick it off for the Raiders, there is Marlon Risen. And we are underway. The 1990 City Championship football game. Kick is going out of bounds, so they probably will re-kick it again.
We'll have to kick that one over again. I believe he was trying to kick away from Jewett there, and he was aiming at Hart. And it went out of bounds probably about on the 15-yard line is where the referee is standing there. Probably have to kick this one over.
They're talking to the co-captains of the Stingarees to make their decision, and yes, the Raiders will have to kick it off again, but this time 5 yards deeper from their own 35-yard line.
Jewett actually has more kickoff returns on the Stingaree team. Tyrone Hart, number 19, has a 33-yard average. So both of these guys can return kicks, and they do a pretty good job at it.
The way the Sting defense has played this year, they don't have much practice of doing that. Here we go again. Risen puts a foot into it, and it goes deep. Jewett at his own 6.
And it looks like when he caught the ball, he went to a knee, which makes him down.
Well, that's very interesting. That was a small touch, so he is down.
Maybe if we can see that one again, we can maybe able to tell if his knee actually touched the ground. Apparently it did, because the referee was right there and blew his whistle.
He's down at his own 7-yard line. Let's take a look at the Stingaree offense, Jeff.
Okay, starting for the Victoria High Stingarees.
Well, we'll get to that in just a second. Let's get the first play as they quickly come out of the huddle. Lawrence under center. Here is Alex up the middle over the 10-yard line. Stopped there by the Raiders' Jeff Perez. He's a sophomore.
Let's go over that Stingaree offensive line first. At center will be Jason Hill, number 60. Right guard, Matt Rivera, number 65. Right tackle, Brad Shanefield, number 68. Tight end, Dwayne Gale. At left guard, Casey Lachuga, number 79. And left tackle, 77, Big Ed Hendricks.
Gain of 4 for Alex at 2nd and 6. The Stings at their own 11-yard line. Alex over the middle again. He will pick up about a couple of yards. Stopped down there by Jarvin Lucas, the middle linebacker for the Raiders, 5'11", 220 junior.
Very quickly now, the Stingaree backfield. At the quarterback, number 16, Weldon Lawrence. At fullback, number 8, Kevin Alex. At the tailback, the district's leading rusher, number 2, Irvin Yates. And the wingback, Kerry Droz, and number 27, Chris Little, handles the wide receiver chores.
Droz in now for Jewett. 3rd and 4. The Stings at their own 14. Raiders moving at the line. This is Irvin Yates crossing the 20, down the 22-yard line. Knocked down there by a combination of Raiders. Gary Walters, the defensive end, and also in there was Byron Leonard, the free safety.
Looks like he definitely got enough for the first down, and already this Stingaree offensive line really firing off and showing the prowess that they have, Don, and that's one thing that has been the key to success at running the ball for the Stingarees. We'll see them run a lot. If you watch that offensive line, they really come off the ball. They fire off low and hard.
Gain of 9. This is Alex up the middle over the 35. First in there for the Raiders, it appears to be Bill Beck, the defensive tackle, 6'2", 224 senior. That was a run, by the way, of 9 before then by Irvin Yates, and Alex so far the workhorse for the Stings tonight.
Looks like they're trying to really establish the running game up the middle, and then probably every 2 or 3 downs they'll go to Yates.
Jewett out, Conway out for the Stings. 1 wide out, far side, 3 setbacks, 2nd and 8. Stings at their own 25. Handoff is to Yates, and he is stopped behind the line. Stopped there for the Raiders. That's Jeff Griffin. Jeff Griffin, of course, the left outside linebacker, 5'7", 175 junior.
Real good tackle there, and one thing the Raiders did on that play, once one man got to the ball carrier, you saw a swarm of other tacklers come up and converge on him. So it dropped Yates for, I guess,
they'll call a 3-yard loss.
3-yard loss there.
Check that. It's a 2-yard loss, they're saying now. So it's back on their own 23-yard line, the Stings have it. So 3rd and 10. So wipe out the yardage they had on the first down because they lost just as many on the second down. First third down situation, beg your pardon, second third down situation, they converted the first time the Stings did on their own 23-yard line. Lawrence with the fake. He will go on the left sideline, and it is caught. It is caught there by Dwayne Gale, the tight end of the Stings. Fine catch on the coverage for the Raiders, Byron Leonard. But for Gale, that is a gain of 24 yards, pardon me. No, let's give him the 48, so it's 25 yards on the game. So it's 1st and 10. The first, there's the instant replay of it, Jeff. Take a look.
Okay, yeah. Good fake there by Lawrence, and he goes back and actually puts a good pass up in the air. And, of course, a good catch. Also, that's good blocking out there.
We're back to action. Raiders offside there. Pitch back is to Yates. He crosses the 50, short of the 45-yard line. And he is stopped down there also, again, by Jarvin Lucas. There is a flag down, however. Looked like there's some movement on the Raider defensive line. And it is offsides against the Raiders.
The second time we've seen the Raiders jump tonight. The first time they got back, but it looks like this time they just didn't get back in time. And that can be two things, Don. It could be Lawrence changing the snap count on them, or it could be a little nervousness.
So they will not take the game. Instead, they will take the penalty. The first penalty of the night goes for 5 yards against the Raiders. So it'll be a 1st and 5 now for the Stingarees at the Stroman 47-yard line. 8:44 to go, first quarter. Still no score, and the Stingarees break the huddle with Weldon Lawrence, the senior quarterback. Lawrence, 5'11", 177. 2 setbacks, 2 wide out to the far side. There's Yates cutting up over the 45, across the 40, and over the 35-yard line.
And there you saw the sprint of Irvin Yates as 2 or 3 people at least got a hand on him, but he just ran right through those tackles, and also some good cross blocking by the offensive lineman up there.
Bill Beck is the tackler for Stroman, a gain of 12 for Yates. And here is the replay again. Broke a couple of tackles. Beck finally hauls him down inside the 35-yard line. It looks like, yes, they will give him. They'll give him the 34 on that, so a 1st and 10.
Blocking downfield for him, and you'll see a lot of that.
2 setbacks, 1 wide out near side. Pitch back is to Yates. Over the 35, over the 30, over the 25, the 20. He could go. One man to beat. Knocked down at the 5-yard line. The 5-yard line, stopping the touchdown for the Raiders on that play.
It was Jeff Perez.
It was Jeff Perez, the 5'7", 135 sophomore, but Yates is at it again. Yates, going into the ball game tonight, had a total of 1,374 yards, 11.4 yards a carry.
You saw the speed there where he just ran right past the Stroman defender, and a good play by Perez to save the touchdown.
1st and goal for the Stings at their own 5 and their first penetration of the night. 3 setbacks.
Another man
behind
for the Raiders.
Up the middle, it's Alex. He'll be close to the goal line, but just stopped short. However, there are flags down.
I think that time the Stroman had a nose guard that looked like he went right up under the center that time.
Some nerves on both sides, and it is offsides against the Raiders. Their second offside penalty in this drive.
What you have here, as a goal line defender, you're taught to get low, fire off, and get low so that the offensive blocker cannot get up underneath you, and that's what the gentleman for the Raiders was trying to accomplish there. However, he was a little bit ahead of the snap.
So now will be half the distance to the goal. Once again, 1st and goal to go for the Stingarees. Now the ball at the Stroman 2-yard line. With under 7.5 to go, the first period, the Stings have had the ball from the opening kickoff. 3 backs behind Lawrence, no wideouts. Up the middle, it's Alex. And he is tackled there by Lucas and a host of others. Raiders right at the goal line. They say he will be short. Also in there for the Raiders It looks like it's going to be Trent's Kitchen in there. And I think Byron Leonard also got in there. Lucas, though, was the first one that really got in there and got him by the legs.
Lucas has had a good year for a junior, and I'm sure Coach Despain is looking forward to getting him back. He's been a leader, handles the kicking chores, and also plays some on offense.
Second and goal from the 1-yard line. 3 setbacks in a row behind Weldon Lawrence. Quarterback sneak. No signal yet. Stacked up right at the line.
Looks like he got in there, Don.
And there's the signal. Touchdown, Stingarees. Weldon Lawrence with the quarterback sneak from the 1, and the Stingarees on the board first. For Weldon Lawrence, that is his 9th touchdown of the year. Last week, he had 3 touchdown runs. The senior quarterback for the Stingarees.
Very effective
92-yard drive, I believe.
Yeah. Started on their own 7 there, I believe.
The extra point by Sean Malandrakis is no good. He hooked it. And so we have a timeout. 6:25 to go in the opening quarter with the score. Victoria High 6 and Stroman nothing. Start off this ball game like they have many others this season by scoring quickly, gaining the upper hand early, and it's the Stings leading 6-0 on that 1-yard quarterback sneak by Weldon Lawrence. I guess the key plays in that one, Jeff, the long runs by Urban Yates. We're going to try and figure out how many yards he had rushing there in that first series, and also the key pass he had to Dwayne Gale, which got him near midfield. The Stings don't pass that often, but when they do, they pass fairly effectively.
As you can see, they did what they've been doing all year long, and that is play execution.
Malandrakis, and that is
Lucas Kitchen.
He is level. And in there for the Stingarees, Pat Costello. On that first drive, Irwin Yates had 49 yards in the first drive. There's the quarterback sneak you see again. Weldon Lawrence with that. And that put the Stings up 1-0. However, Malandrakis' point after attempt was missed, and so the Raiders now have the ball down 6-0. Let's take a look at the Raider offense, Jeff.
Okay, starting at quarterback will be number 12, Fernando Perez. Fullback, number 41, Brian Lopez. Tailback, number 6, Byron Leonard. Tight end, number 2, Marlon Ryson. Wide receiver, number 8, Lee Todd. We'll get the line after this play.
On the 23-yard line of Stroman, their first play of the game, 1st and 10, Perez. With now 3 setbacks and now 1 in motion. And there's a stoppage in play. In motion for the Raiders as we check his name. Michael Cooper in the backfield. That's interesting.
He plays on the defensive and offensive line. Stroman looked out of sync, Don, coming up to the line as I believe the tight end on that side, on the left-hand side, jumped.
Illegal procedure against the Raiders. Their 3rd penalty already in this game, 3 for 15 yards. In that first drive, I think we mentioned that Urban Yates ran for 49 yards, so that puts him, I believe, over the 1,400-yard mark for the season.
And of course, that Stingaree drive took about half a quarter off the clock. There's only 6 minutes and 19 seconds remaining in this quarter, so that's
Cooper
important.
in the backfield again, and he's in motion. The fake here is Perez. He gets to the 20. He is stopped by a bunch of Stings in there. It appears to be, first of all, in there is Marvin Jones, also Jared Donald.
Okay, what the Raiders did that time was had number 53, Michael Cooper, lined up in the backfield, and he went in motion and led up in the hold and threw a pretty good block that time.
We'll get the Stingaree defensive starters to you in just a moment. But here's a 2nd and 11, a gain of 2 for Perez. Now here's the pitch back to Caceres. Caceres trying to make a cut, stop short at the 30-yard line. In there again, we had Marvin Jones. So So a good game there for Caceres. Could have been even more if he hadn't slipped. He was short of the 30-yard line.
We're already
Gain of about 8 yards.
already seeing some razzle-dazzle on the part of the Stroman Raiders, and I think this is one thing that the Stingarees have to expect tonight. These Raiders, they have nothing to lose, so they will probably pull out all of the stops.
3rd and 3, 2 setbacks, 2 wideouts this way for Stroman at their own 29. Perez stopped short of the 30. Cedric Marshall says hello.
Number
The senior
5.
co-captain for the Stingarees. I tell you, that is a savage hit. He's been doing those all year. 5'9", 172 senior.
All year for a couple of years, too, Don. He has really been an outstanding player here at Victoria High.
Here's the replay again. Check this out, folks. Wham!
And he just
Hello.
comes up and meets the quarterback in the hole, and he just fielded just like a scraping linebacker should.
Back to punt is Bill Beck for the Raiders, and deep is Weldon Lawrence for the Stings at his own 30. And a snap, but the flags are down again. There's a gain of...
be a delay.
There was no gain on that last play, by the way, for Perez and running. Dead ball foul, personal foul, illegal procedure against the Raiders. So it's their 4th penalty already. 4 penalties for, I was going to say 20 yards. We'll get Tim to add that up for us because they had I think it's less than 20 actually. They had a half the distance to the goal penalty on that touchdown drive. So they're backed up to their own 24-yard line, and Beck will try it again. Beck a couple of weeks ago punted even though he had a fever. He had the flu. Stayed in there.
Stingarees coming on the block
rush
that
by
time
Cedric
and
Marshall,
almost got a piece of it, and may have even gotten a piece of it.
And it'll be down at the 42-yard line of the Stings. 42-yard line of the Stings, so a punt for Beck of 34 yards. Beck coming into the game had an average of 35.8 yards punting. So the Stingarees get much better field position this time around at its own 42-yard line. Coming out, 1 wide out this side. That's Chris Little. 1 wing back, 2 setbacks behind Weldon Lawrence. Pitch back is to Yates. He's over the 40, the 45, tripped up just short of the 50-yard line. In there to trip up was Bill Beck, the man who just punted.
And it's a good thing Beck got looks like a fingernail on him because he had some real estate out here on this left side. And Yates was just about getting ready to accelerate to full speed when he was tripped up there.
Gain of 6 for Yates. Gain of 5 for Yates. No, we'll give him a gain of 6. It's 2nd down and 4 at... All right, 2nd down and 5. At the Stings of their own 47. Up the middle, it's Kevin Alex.
Good run.
Good run.
Big
he is
hole
stopped
up
in
the
there
middle.
again by Beck. Beck had him by the feet. Otherwise, Alex would have broken it for even more. Beck short of the 45 at about the 46-yard line of Stroman. So that is a gain of 7 for Kevin Alex.
And once again, Don, the offensive line opened up a massive hole that time.
And another 1st down for the Stingarees. 1 wide out, far side for the Stingarees. 2 setbacks and a wing back near side. Give up the middle is to Alex. He crosses the 45, stopped around the 42-yard line. First man in there is Gary Walters, number 72. Bill Beck is also in there. Walters, 5'11", 194, senior. Most of the Stroman starting defense, seniors. In fact, most of the starting units, both ways, seniors for the Stroman Raiders.
What the Stingarees are doing, Don, is just lining up and physically taking it right at the Stroman Raider defense.
Gain of 4, 2nd and 6. Now the wideout is the near side. Pitch back is to Yates. He bobbles it. He falls on the football.
Back on it, though.
With Beck there and also their Jason Elkins for the Raiders. He never got that pitch back. He never could handle it. But fortunately for the Stingarees, at least, it does not turn into disaster. Right,
he bounced and bounced right back up at it.
And that is a no gain for the Stings.
Here's another look at it.
Well,
yeah,
he
the pitch
never
was a little high.
Got a lucky bounce on that one. So now a 3rd and 6 situation. The Stings have converted all of their 3rd down conversions so far at the 42 of Stroman.
Draw
play. This is Yates. He is tripped up in there. Otherwise, he would have gone a long way. Jeff Griffin trips him up for the Raiders. Griffin, a 5'7", 175-pound junior, 4 yards. They needed 6. So it'll be a 4th down and 4. They're giving them a gain of 2, actually.
Second big play out of Jeff Griffin we've seen tonight.
So just inside the 40 of Stroman, and back to punt. Will be less shots for the Stingarees. Shots so far this year is averaging 33.9 a game, and back deep for the Raiders.
Fake. There's a fake. He's got a lot of real estate. One man to beat.
Weldon Lawrence knocked out of bounds at the 8-yard line. Knocked out there by Jeff Perez, the man who was back in single safety. Well, the Stings have run that play a couple of times this year, have been successful. And Weldon Lawrence, who had a great week last week running the football, is knocked out of bounds. Now they're saying just outside the 10, but it really doesn't matter because it's still a first down for the Stings deep in Raider territory.
Great call that time by Mark Reeves.
Let's see that again on the replay. I want to see
taking
that.
the timeout right now, but it was a great call. I mean, it's 4th and about 4 yards to go. It's another great call, and it definitely caught the Raiders off guard that time. And by the time they figured out what had happened, Lawrence was already past the down lineman.
I'm going to see if we can see that again on the replay, because that was a nifty play, and it's one of those plays that can really break open a game when you run a gadget play like that and it works so well.
Well, what it does, Don, is it kind of one thing it gets the Stroman Raider defense back out on the field. They don't get an opportunity to get a breather, and it's also mentally it's very demoralizing because here you go out there and you stop them, and you're facing a punting situation, but now they've got to come right back out and try and keep this Stingaree offense out of the end zone.
So now the Stings will have the ball at the Stroman 11-yard line.
Here's the replay. There you can see just about everybody was fooled. If Lawrence could have stopped actually and waited on a couple of blockers to pick up that one man down there. Good play by that Stroman defender, number 35 there.
Jeff Perez, fortunately, was the only man who wasn't faked down for Stroman on that one. So now the Stings once again in the red zone. Inside the 20 at the Stroman 11. One wide out this side. Wing back this side. 2 setbacks. Yates and Alex. And the pitch back is to Yates over the 10. He may get just 1 yard, and there's Jarvin Lucas again. The stop for the Raiders. So give him about a yard. Yeah, exactly a yard to the 10-yard line.
I thought maybe they would try up the middle since they've been pretty successful so far running Kevin Alex up the middle. I thought maybe they would come back on 1st down with that. Let's see what they do here on 2nd down.
Now into the ball game for the Stings is Kerry Droz at a wing. Also in is Lance Conway at tight end. So tight set for the Stings on 2nd and 9 at the Stroman 10. Pitch back is to Yates. Crosses the 10.
What a move.
Crosses the 5. Great move he made on
that was Trent's
on
Kitchen
Trent's
that he
Kitchen.
just froze.
Good help.
Trent's Kitchen. And there you saw the moves of the district's leading running back, Irvin Yates.
The 9th leading running back in the state in 5A. A 10-yard touchdown run for Yates. And for Yates, that is his 13th touchdown of the season. And the Stings are up by a score now of 12-0. The referees are now saying that it's a Stingaree timeout.
Picked up a good block that time from Kevin Alex and went in almost untouched. A little juke of the shoulders on Kitchen there, and he was in the end zone. What a move. Irvin Yates definitely has some first-class moves.
The Stings have called a timeout for whatever reason. They may be working on a 2-point play, 2-point conversion attempt.
Don, our statistician, Tim Strawbridge, who we're happy to have in the booth with us tonight, has told me that Yates already has 69 yards here in this first quarter with only 27 seconds to go.
One of the things I did not look up or could not find, because I guess there are no record books for VISD football anymore, but trying to find out the season record for most yards by a VISD running back. Now, with those 69 yards, Yates has 1,445 yards for the season, and when you get over 1,500 yards, you're getting into territory that not many running backs, I don't care if you're talking about Victoria, whatever city, have ever really gotten into.
They're going to go for 2 here. We'll touch on that in a little while.
2 wideouts near side, 2 setbacks behind Lawrence. Lawrence rolls the other way. Pass to the end zone. Caught for the 2-point conversion.
I'll tell you.
And it's Dwayne Gale with the 2-point conversion for the Stingarees. And now they up the lead to 14-0.
You just got to be excited about the way this Stingaree team is executing tonight. Every play they're calling, the gadget play, the fake punt, the 3rd down pass in the first drive, and now this one. rushing record. I believe he'll be chasing Ronald or the Ramey kid from Stroman, who had, I think, 1,560, 1,570 some odd yards. Don't know the exact amount of yardage there.
Ronald, who's held that record for all of a year.
Yeah. So Yates could close in on that if he plays all 4 quarters.
Irvin Yates in his first year at Victoria High. He is a senior. He played a couple of varsity seasons at Edna, an outstanding running back there. So the Stingarees will kick it off again. And Mark Reed and the Stingarees have got to be pleased about these events. The Raiders and Ray Despain, however, well, just the opposite.
Well, the Raiders did the job defensively, but on special teams, they broke down on the 4th and 4 when the Stingarees went for it, and it was a well-executed play. They did the job defensively. What they've got to do now is regroup and try and come back and put a drive together. They're not out of it.
27 seconds are left in the first quarter. Malin Drake is to kick and to receive Trent Kitchen and Jeff Perez. It comes down to, well, it looks like Jarvin Lucas is on 15-yard line across the 20, the 25, and ridden out of bounds around the 30-yard line. And George Scherer, the rover back for the Stingarees, there to welcome Jarvin to the Stingaree side of the field.
George held him up for number 37, Kyle Kincaid, that time, and Kincaid laid a lick on it. Lucas is trying to get a few extra yards on the sideline. Here's another look at it.
Jarvin looking for some room, and hello.
There's Kincaid with a vicious lick.
First and 10 of the Raiders at their own 30-yard line. One setback behind Perez. 2 wideouts near side, 1 wideout far side. Perez to the air, looks, fires. That was intended for Lee Todd, but it was behind him and on the play covering for the Stingarees, Marvin Jones.
Looked like Todd may have came up short on the route that he was supposed to run, or either Perez threw on the wrong side of him. I don't know which one made the mistake that time, but they were both definitely, or one or the other, were definitely off.
So second and 10 for the Raiders against their own 30 now. 3 setbacks behind Perez, and the give is to the deepest setback. That is Keith Bland. He goes over the 30, and the first man to touch him down there will be, that's Greg Garvelli, the 6', 200-pound senior, as he hurdled over the 30-yard line. Give him 3 yards on that one. And that's the end of the first quarter with the score. Victoria High 14 and Stroman nothing. Starting the second quarter, Stroman's total offensive yards for the first quarter, 19. And no first downs for the Raiders in a game that has been totally dominated so far by the Stingarees.
Tom, did we ever get the Stingaree starting defense in?
Yes.
Okay, good.
That's good. And now it's the Raiders at their own 33. 3 setbacks, 1 wideout near side. Quarterback over the middle. That's Perez. He is stopped there by Greg Garvelli, number 66, the tackle. And there's the starting defense for Victoria High, Jeff.
Okay, I just didn't know if we'd ever called them out.
Okay.
That time the Raiders must have come up and they must have seen something, an opening or some sort over the middle, and they went with the quarterback sneaking and actually got him a couple of yards.
They'll be short of the first down. It is 4th and 2, the Raiders, and they will punt. 146 yards total offense for the Stings in the first half. And there's a fake punt, and Lucas has it, and the pitch back-to-back, and he is stopped way short of the first down. The guy celebrating first is Cedric Marshall, the linebacker, and that did not fool the Stingarees at all. In fact, that will lose about 3 yards for the Raiders. It was 4th and 2. They'll give the ball back to the Stingarees at the Stroman 36-yard line. Here it is again, Jeff.
Well, it's just a short snap to Lucas, and I could see he was going to pitch that ball with the option, and the Stingarees weren't fooled at all.
Marvin Jones was the man who knocked Beck out, but Cedric Marshall really hit Lucas a lick before he gave the ball out. Here the Stings at the Stroman 36. The handoff to Yates. Leaps over the middle. He is stopped short there. Stopped for the Raiders by, it appears to be Lucas again.
A host of tacklers, but Lucas, I believe, was the first one to hit him that time. Stingarees get good field position here, and actually it was a very gutsy call by Coach Ray Despain to fake a punt at this point in the game at this end of the field, because the Stingarees score here. It puts them up by 3 touchdowns. And so the Raider defense is really going to have to rise to the occasion. They have a lot of pressure on them right now to stop this offense.
Gain of 3 for Yates. It's 2nd and 7. Fake up the middle. Now here's Lawrence at the 25, the 20. Now pitch back to Yates, who fumbles, but is loose and recovered by the Raiders inside the 5. That is Jeff Perez with the recovery for the Raiders.
We saw some
Yates
flags
had the ball. Now there's a flag down about the 16-yard line of Stroman, so we'll wait for a signal on that one. But Yates, it was a beautiful play that Lawrence had, but here's again.
Perfectly executed option, now pitch, and Yates just didn't handle that pitch. But it was a pretty good pitch, and it's hard to catch that ball on the run like that. But Lawrence really had a seam out there on the outside as he turned it up, and perfectly executed option play that time by the Stingarees.
It appears to be against the Stingarees, but we have not seen an official word. Now Weldon Lawrence is clapping, so it looks like it's going to be against the Raiders. There's one very upset Raider, Brian Lopez. It's holding against the Raiders. Holding against the Raiders.
The flag flew sort of in the middle of that play.
Ray Despain is not happy at all. Can we see that play one more time on the replay? I'd like to see if we can see where the holding was. It was around the 16-yard line of Stroman. It was before the pitch. Now let's check this out.
It have to be out here on the outside somewhere. And I think the flag flew actually right about, well, just before he got ready to pitch the ball. We couldn't really tell from that angle. They're still discussing this. Raiders are upset. Looks like they're going... Well, they're over right now explaining to Ray Despain what's going on, and I'm sure he's wanting an explanation.
Well, this is very interesting, folks. But the Raiders are still out there on defense as we try and figure this out, and the referee is still over with Ray Despain telling him what's going on. And I'm sure whatever explanation Despain was given was not sufficient for him. In fact, I wouldn't mind having an explanation to us up here, but I doubt we'll get that. Now, the call originally was holding.
Holding.
Still called holding.
First down, Stingarees.
On a running play, it's hard to... On a running play, it's
hard to figure out.
Let's see. Now, the flag was thrown at the 16-yard line.
They have to be holding a...
Now, there's the 30. You see Lawrence crossing the 25.
Unless if it's right there with...
Well, I don't see how that could be holding against the Raiders. Maybe the Stings. They're back to action. Here we go. It's first and goal at the 7-yard line. Up the middle it goes.
What a run.
To Kevin Alex, who crosses the 5 to the 2, and he's stopped down there by a bunch of Raiders. Now, specifically, it looks like for the Raiders down there on the tackle was...
That time Kevin Alex just kept his feet pumping. He was running about, looks like about a foot off the ground. He just kept his feet pumping and gained some extra yards to get him to the 2-yard line, or inside the 2, I should say.
We'll check the stats on Alex, see how many yards he had. He had 5 yards on that carry. He's been a workhorse, too, for the Stings this year. Coming into the game, he had run 65 times for 295 yards. Second and goal at the 2 of the Stings. Full house backfield. Fake is to Alex. It's Weldon Lawrence. Pardon me. It was over to Alex up the middle, and it was a touchdown for the Stingarees. Kevin Alex with the touchdown. His second touchdown of the game. And for the season, that is his 8th touchdown. Kevin Alex, the senior for the Stingarees, the senior fullback, 5'11", 190.
They took advantage of a miscue by the Raiders.
Well, here's the extra point, and it's no good. Malandrakis misses again. So, Malandrakis is 0 for 2 in extra points tonight, but that's not the only thing the Stings have not been able to accomplish tonight.
They have done it all, and right then they took advantage of that missed fake punt by the Raiders and marched it quickly 30, 34, 35 yards in for the touchdown, and now they're up 20-0, a commanding lead, and it's really putting the Raiders in a deep hole at this point.
The Stingarees have had excellent field position on at least their last two drives. In their first one, they had to go a long, long way to score after James Jewett touched his knee down around the 7-yard line. But since then, excellent field position, and the Stings have really had no trouble at all getting through there. And so, again, the Stingarees going to kickoff formation. And again, the Raiders send back deep Jeff Perez and Trent Kitchen to receive the kickoff. I beg your pardon, Alex has one touchdown tonight. Yes, okay. And Irvin Yates had the second one. Weldon Lawrence had the first one. As the list of Stingaree scorers tonight grows longer and longer. And we have 9:42 to go in the first half, with the Stingarees up by a score of 20-0.
Good kick.
At the 10-yard line is Jeff Perez. The 15, the 20, the 25, and he is met there.
Couldn't tell who was there on the stop, but it looks like number 37, Kyle Kincaid, was there, and that's the second time we've seen him around the ball on those kick coverage.
So the Raiders trying to go for their first down of the ball game. Don't forget Friday Night Gridiron coming on after our game tonight. We plan to have both coaches on, talk about this ball game and other key scores from around the area. 1st and 10, Raiders at their own 28, full house backfield behind Fernando Perez. To give up the middle, a little bit of indecision there, it seems.
No flags. It looked like that right side of the line got an early start that time, and
That was Jeff Griffin who got the carry for the Raiders. He picked up all of 1 yard to the 30 of the Stings, 2nd and 9. Once again, 3 in the backfield behind Perez, the junior quarterback. Now the handoff this time is to Bland. He is stood up by Cedric Marshall.
He just met Bland in the hole and just stood him up, and what a lick. He does hit hard for a small man.
Well, Bland is used to getting the hard hits. A couple weeks ago, he scored a touchdown, and he was just leveled, but he stayed in there.
I want to see this one again. Watch Cedric Marshall right there. Boom.
It's a gain of 2, so it's a
Marvin
3rd and
Jones
7 for the Raiders at their own 31-yard line. Fake, and it's to Bland again. This time he'll be short of the 35-yard line.
Looks like Jared Donald.
Also John Hickman in there. So it's a 4th down, and again the Raiders cannot get the first, and again they must punt.
I don't think we'll be seeing a fake punt this time. It's about 4th and 4 again, but I don't think we'll be seeing the fake punt this time. As a matter of fact, Cedric Marshall is lined up on the ball like they may go after it, and here he comes.
Fake barely gets it away. It's a short kick. It knocks out of bounds just on the Victoria High side up the 50-yard line. So for Beck, that's a punt of about 17 yards. But a heavy rush, as you say, Jeff.
Yeah, it looked like they had the block called on that one. And I think they were going to go after it.
Let's take a break. 7:52. You see there left in the first half. Stingarees ahead of the Raiders, 20-0.
I believe, a late flag. I don't know why the referee didn't throw it when he saw it. He waited until Alec crossed the goal line and threw that flag. I believe one of the wide receivers blocking downfield, did block in the back. So that one's going to come back. But it was a late flag.
Pass across the middle to Alex. Sorry you had to miss that, ladies and gentlemen, but it's across the middle, just over the 45-yard line. Had a lot of running room. There was a clip, though, thrown by a Stingaree, and this is going to come way back. A long gainer of 51 yards, but erased most of it, clipping against the Stingarees, and so the Stingarees will have the ball now instead of a touchdown.
I'd like to
have
see
the
that
ball
play
at the Raiders'
again if we could.
27-yard line.
We'd like to take another look at that one, the end of it. We didn't get the whole play because it definitely was a late flag. Well,
two passes so far for Lawrence, and both have been very successful. We're going to get the passing stats here in just a moment.
Stingarees at this point are ready to really make it difficult for the Raiders. It's 20-0 right now.
Tight formation Stings at the Raider 28. Alex
Backfield
barely in
Here's
motion.
Jewett for the first time
Jewett is
tonight.
tackled by Jarvin Lucas, and there'll be a flag, though, to stop the whole play because Alex, the fullback for the Stings, was in forward motion before the play started.
James Duffy Jewett has had a successful season. That's the first time we've seen him carry the ball tonight, and he came from his slot back position that time.
Raiders will decline the penalty after the great tackle by Lucas made Jewett lose a yard on that one, so it'll be a 1st and 11 for the Stings. The backfield is Yates, and in the backfield as well is Arthur Luna for the Stings. And they have up the middle to Luna across the 25, almost the 20-yard line, tripped up there. Luna, who leads the Stingarees, I believe, in nicknames. He has a couple Luna tunes, and as you saw by the way he runs, another adequate nickname, Pinball.
A gaping hole that time. I guess they're resting Kevin Alex now, but a gaping hole again by that Stingaree offensive line, and Luna just went right through there, almost untouched, until he got into the secondary.
It'll be a gain of 7 for Luna.
This is actually 3rd down, I believe, Don. They declined that penalty.
3rd
Marker shows
and
3rd
4.
down. Scoreboard shows
Scoreboard is incorrect. It has 2nd down, but it is 3rd down. You are correct. It's 3rd and 4. There's a flag thrown from the defensive backfield. Too much time against the Stingarees. So now it's a 3rd and 9 situation.
And that's a problem that the Stingarees really hadn't come across too often this year, is the delay of game. They're usually in the huddle and back up to the line of scrimmage and getting a playoff.
Out for the Raiders is going off the sideline, Chris Juarez. So it's 3rd and 10, 28-yard line of the Raiders. No wideouts. Up the middle fake.
The option. He's got
Lawrence
the
has
first
it.
down,
He's inside the 20. He should be short of the first down, though.
Gonna be
In there to make the tackle is Byron Leonard for the Raiders.
So on 3rd and 10, they elected not to put it in the air and go with the option play, which they have ran successfully tonight.
They will call for a measurement. It's a close one. Inside the 20. So it's the 4th time the Stings have been inside the red zone. Measurement, and it's about a yard short. So it's a 4th and 1 for the Stings at the Raider 18-yard line. Into the ball game for the Stingarees, James Jewett, Cedric Marshall. And out is Kerry Droz.
Well, Cedric Marshall, we've seen him play on defense a lot, but you can look for him maybe to carry this ball on 4th and short. They've got him in the fullback position.
4th and 1. Raiders may have jumped. It's Cedric Marshall over the middle, and he over the 15-yard line. He definitely has the first down, and he has even more than that.
Marshall has proved this year that he can play both offensively and defensively, and when I saw him trotting in that time, I thought he may get his chance, and he gained more than enough for the first down.
That's a gain of 5 for Cedric Marshall. Marshall this year running for the Raiders, for the Stingarees rather, 18 carries, 159 yards, 4 touchdowns. He gets a gain of 5 on that play. 1st and 10 for the Stings at the Raider 13-yard line. Marshall still in the backfield. It's the fake to Marshall. Lawrence still has it, and he is stopped there by Lucas and also by Perez for the Raiders.
Weldon Lawrence proved that he is a very, very tough runner that time, as he's taken some pretty good licks so far tonight. But he just took that lick and kind of kept on going that time. Marshall out now. In comes Jewett.
2-yard gain for Lawrence.
And Don, at this time, the Raider defense has got to be getting tired. They've been on the field for most of the night already. And so, I mean, the pressure is really on them right now.
Under 5 to go, first half. Lawrence pitch back to Urban Yates, 15-10. He brings the tackle by Perez. Now 7 Raiders chasing him. Finally run out of bounds at the 15-yard line. Byron Leonard ran him out.
But Yates that time proved how strong he is.
He broke 1 tackle, and there were 6 or 7 Raiders waiting to get their legs on him. And he will lose yardage. He will lose about 4 on that play. Check that, about 3, actually.
Yeah, the first Raider to him, he just kind of ran right through him. He is one strong kid. You really have to wrap up.
3rd and 11 for the Stings at the Raider 14. Lawrence with the fake. The swing pass out to Alex. Stop at the 5, now the 3, the 2. And stopped there finally by Prince Kitchen. So he is down the 2-yard line of the Raiders, and it is a first down. Another first down for the Stingarees. Let's check how many first downs the Stings have. 10 first downs for the Stingarees with 4:32 to go in the first half, and for the Raiders so far, no first downs.
Once again, Don, you just have to be impressed with the execution of the Victoria Stingarees. They faked the draw, some people refer to that one as the Statue of Liberty play, and execute the pass play.
12-yard gain for Alex. First and goal for the Stings at the 2. Up the middle, it's Alex, and he is just short of the goal line. There are flags down. A signal is touchdown for the
Raiders
Stingarees.
Offside that time.
We'll check the flag. Offsides against the Raiders. Touchdown, Stingarees, and Kevin Alex has his 2nd touchdown of the evening, this time on a 2-yard carry. Here's the replay, Jeff. Okay. And there you see Alex is going over the middle.
Just another simple dive play. It's worked all night. The Stingarees really have been able to do just about what they've wanted to. Just another dive play. Alex has been very effective running that ball up the middle, and when you get that close, why not take it up the middle again?
The biggest problem for the Stingarees so far tonight has been the extra point kicking. Sean Malandrakis will try, I guess, his 3rd try for an extra point. He's missed his first 2.
Well, Sean's leg might be getting a little tired.
What the chances are of a fake for an extra point? I doubt it at this point. Ball is down, kick is up, and it is good. Sean, the 3rd time of the charm, getting the extra point, and the Stingarees now lead by a score of 27-0 with 4:10 to go in the first quarter of play. Just a reminder, once again, Friday Night Gridiron immediately following tonight's ball game. We'll plan to have both head coaches, Mark Reeve of the Stingarees, plus Ray Despain of the Stroman Raiders. We'll also have key scores from around the area, some big games involving area teams that have a lot to do with whether they make the playoffs or not. Teams like Edna and Tidehaven and the big one down in Yorktown, Refugio and Yorktown going for that district championship down there. We'll also have a preview of an important ball game for St. Joe tomorrow afternoon as the Flyers take on St. Michael here at Patty Welder at 2 o'clock. A reunion, nice little reunion tomorrow. The 1940 and 1965 state football championship teams of St. Joe. That'll be on immediately following our game tonight, Friday Night Gridiron. Been moved a little back tonight, not at the 11:30 this time, but right after tonight's ball game with all the big scores. And also remind you, Southwest Conference football tomorrow at noon here on Channel 25. Live from Waco, it's the Baylor Bears with our Cuero buddies, Robert Strait and Trooper Taylor and Adam Arroyo. Anthony Ray from Wharton taking on the Arkansas Razorbacks. If Baylor can win, it can stay in the hunt not only for a bowl berth, but also still have an outside chance for a Southwest Conference title. There's the kick deep, and it goes to Perez, and off his hands into the end zone, and he will sit down right there, and they'll go for the touchback of the 20.
Well, Don, right now, and first I want to compliment you on the Friday Night Gridiron show. I know that is a very popular show in town, and just want to compliment you on a job well done with that show. And secondly, right now, the discipline of the Victoria High team is really coming through because for the people in town who thought the Stingarees might have a chance of coming out flat tonight, they have proved that they're here to take care of business, and they've been very businesslike, and they have done everything in taking care of business and have a commanding 27-0 lead right now.
The handoff up the middle goes to Brian Lopez, and he almost had that ball stripped from him, but finally in there to make the tackle for the Stings will be Warren Helker, among others. 2 or 3 Stingarees in there. Raiders just have not been able to get anything going offensively. That's a gain of all of 1 yard for Brian Lopez on that play. And Lopez this year going into the ball game had rushed 26 times, 92 yards. He's been more effective coming out of the backfield catching pass.
As for the Stroman Raiders, Don, I think you'll see that they are a team that no matter how far they get down, they're not going to quit. You're still going to see people
wideouts on this play. Perez, though, the quarterback up the middle, and he didn't get anywhere thanks to Greg Garvelli, who read that play beautifully and stopped him. Fernando may get a gain of 2, but that's about all he'll get.
That's a good call. It's a quarterback draw. They know the Sting defenders have their ears bowed, and they're coming to get him, and he put the ball up in the air like he was going to throw it, but I think he tucked it in a little too early that time and gave it away. But it's actually a pretty good call, and maybe even would have been a better call on 3rd down.
Gain of 3 for Perez. It's 3rd and 6. Raiders at their own 24. Stroman still going for its first down of the ball game. Now 2 wideouts near side, 1 far side, and now in motion. Another play for Raiders. Over the middle, pass incomplete. He was looking for Marlon Ryan, but Marlon got tied up. The man in motion, by the way, for the Raiders was Jeff Griffin, but that play didn't work for the Raiders, and once again, Phil Beck and the Raiders have to punt the ball away.
Well, we can look for the Stroman Raiders to try and get their passing game going now because they've just been totally stopped on the ground. I'm surprised they really haven't thrown more. That series we saw them attempt 2 passes in a row.
Stingaree defense playing an exceptional game. Now here's Beck to punt. And it's Weldon Lawrence. He had a field bat on 1 hop, and 3 Stingarees almost block it. Ball will go out of bounds inside Stroman territory at the Stroman 48-yard line. Make it the 47-yard line, but 3 Stingarees right there.
Marvin Jones, number 11, Greg.
See if we can see it on the replay here, who got in there for the Raiders. Excuse me, for the Stingarees on that.
I tell you, the punter was lucky to get that one off that time. He really was.
Stingarees putting pressure on the Raiders every which way tonight. Offensively, defensively, special teams. We're going to check how many total yards Stroman has.
I think that was a 23-yard punt.
23-yard punt for Bill Beck. And here the Stings back in action again at the Stroman 48, 1st and 10. Up the middle it goes to Yates. 45 to 40,
He's
the
gone.
35 to 30. 1 man to beat it. Byron Leonard, he's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown Stingarees. Erwin Yates, 48-yard touchdown run for Yates, his 2nd touchdown of the night and his 14th for the season.
Oh, I tell you, Don, that hole was so big. The hole that the Stingaree offensive line opened up that time was so big. Hey, just about anybody could have run through it. I could have run through that one. And Yates, of course, just shows the speed that he has for a big man, but you got to give that offensive line some credit. I think he went through there untouched on that play.
Beautiful blocking by the Stingaree offensive line there. Sean Malandrakis on to add the extra point. And it is good. Malandrakis hits his 2nd straight extra point. And now the lead grows even more with 2:34 to go. There you see, 34 to nothing. Stingarees. The Stingarees, I believe, Jeff, have scored on every possession in the first half. Here's the touchdown play again.
Look at that hole. Nobody even touches him. Boy, that's the kind of holes you dream about.
Byron Leonard, the only man who has a chance to get him, but Swervin' Irvin just put on the jet.
Irvin didn't have to put on any moves that time, Don. He just used his speed and outran the defenders. Again, you have to be impressed, and I've said it over and over already in the first half, you have to be impressed with the way this team executes.
We're going to total up the stats on Irvin Yates here in just a second. We're going to get the rushing stats on him as he comes close to 1450. Well, you know, a couple of weeks ago, he had over 200 yards, 205, and only 12 carries. Excuse me, less than that in the first half. That was down in Kingsville. Beg your pardon, that was against King. That was the game he had 300 312 yards. He was listed for 312 yards, a city record. And actually, the coaches said that as they looked in the film, 320 yards. Here's the kick. It'll come down to Jeff Perez, his own 12-yard line, across the 15 to the 20. 25, short of the 25-yard line, I should say, and stop there for the Stings by Bruce Huddleston, the senior 5'6", 155. So the Raiders, again, going to try and get something going on the Big O.
Well, at this point, with 2 minutes and 28 seconds left, what the Raiders don't want to do is have a turnover here, and sometimes you get forced, you'll start putting the ball in the air. I think the best thing for them to do is to try and get that ground game going and stay away from the turnover and give the Stings the ball deep in their territory one more time before halftime.
Raiders at their own 23-yard line. 3 setbacks, 2 of them behind Perez. And the pitch is to the wingback.
Throw it.
Here's a throw. It'll be way short. It was intended for Lee Todd. The pass was thrown by Armando Caceres, but he got some pressure on that
Jared
play,
Donald and number 5 again, Cedric Marshall, putting the pressure on him. And very hard for a left-hander running towards in this direction, running to his left. Very hard to throw the ball get any type of velocity on it like that.
Ray Despain pulling the tricks out, trying to do anything he can to jumpstart the Raider offense and get a first down. It's 2nd and 10. Raiders against their own 23. Now it's Caceres around the middle, 25-30, short of the 30-yard line. Stopped in there by Marvin Jones, and also for the Stings, that will be on the play, Warren Helker, 6'2", 210, senior tackle, who had 39 tackles going into the game. The leading tackle for the Stings coming into the game, I'll take a wild guess.
Let's see. Number 5.
There you go, 98 tackles.
You see that number all the time, Don. You just see it all the time around the ball.
Gain of 5 for Caceres is gain of 6, 3rd and 4. The Raiders at their own 29-yard line. Still looking for their first down. Pass over the middle. It is almost caught by Marlon Risen, and is finally called incomplete. Cedric Marshall there on the play. Pardon me, Marvin Jones there on the play for the Stingarees. It seems to be everywhere for the Stingarees tonight. And again, the Raiders have to punt.
Well, Rison had the ball on his fingertips. It was thrown a little hard, but he probably should have caught that when he ran a good pattern, and he was definitely open.
So Weldon Lawrence, who's been busy not only returning punts, actually hasn't been returning that many punts because they've been shorter. Couldn't get to them, but he's been busy quarterbacking too. He's back to receive. The Stings put the pressure on again. This time Beck is an end-over-end kick. At his own 40, Lawrence caught it and fell backwards, so he might lose a yard. Yes, they will spot it at the 39-yard line of the Stings. So for Beck, that was a punt of 32 yards for Bill Beck. And
first down to clear on.
Stings are back in action. And we're back. 34-0 Stings, 1:31 to go in the first half. Up the middle, it's Irvin Yates again over the 45, over the 50, breaks a couple of tackles, stopped just short of the 40-yard line for the Raiders, Chris Solis. Another great run for Irvin Yates, Jeff.
How many yards does he have? Have we got to that, Tim, yet? Got Tim working on it over here.
That last game was from 39 to 39, 22-yard gain for Yates on that one.
He is a
workhorse. He's getting close to 200, I can guarantee, but we're double-checking right now. 1st and 10 Stings at the Raider 41.
Here he is again. He's got a wide-open field.
35, 30.
Cut.
He breaks the tackle inside the 25, down to the 23-yard line. Finally brought down there for the Raiders by Jason Elkins, but another great run. Now, before I said it was a 22-yard run, it actually was like a 20-yard run. Now, this past one, from the 41 to the, call it the 23-yard line. Here it is again, Jeff.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are seeing a good college prospect in action here tonight. Watch this.
18-yard run for Yates. 1st and 10, back to live action we go. Here's Weldon Lawrence throwing over the middle.
Complete.
It is complete. It goes down to Dwayne Gale from the 23-yard line inside the 10.
It's his 3rd catch of the night, Don.
3rd catch of the night. They've all been big. They've all gained a bunch of yards for the Stings and all kept drives in motion. Under a minute to go, the Stings have called for a timeout.
And Don, I'm just told by Tim Strawbridge that Irvin Yates is close to 200 yards rushing, 192 yards already in the first half. As the young man takes his hat off, he's going to get a breather.
That was a 16-yard pass completion, by the way, from Weldon Lawrence to Dwayne Gale on that. And Weldon Lawrence, I don't believe, has an incompletion. I believe he has 4 pass attempts, and they've all been complete. So he's having a great night passing. Wonder how many carries Irvin Yates has so far tonight. 192.
Well, I think he's got
he had an 11.4-yard
15.
average. 15 carries. Now, 2 weeks ago against King, he ran for 312 yards on 13 carries. 24 yards per carry average, which is amazing. Now, for the season going into tonight, 11.4 yards a carry, which is outstanding, however which way you want to look at it.
Definitely.
He's getting close to that 1,500-yard mark.
I think everybody watching this game tonight, you ought to realize you are watching a top back in action. I mean, he's shown his strength, he's shown his speed, he's shown the balance that he has. He's just fun to watch. And
actually, he's going for the 1,600-yard mark because he had 1,376 coming in and 192 right now. Here the Stings first and goal at the Stroman 7-yard line. Yates, the only man in the backfield behind Lawrence. To give is to Yates. Across the 5, just about the 4-yard line, and he's stopped there by Jeff Griffin. So he'll gain a couple. Stings are playing hurry-up now because there's
33 seconds left.
That much time left. 1 wideout near side, 2 wideouts far side. And Lawrence grounds the ball just to stop the clock with 26 seconds to go.
Smart play by Lawrence. Smart play that time. That stops the clock. Now they're going to get a play in. They're definitely trying to score. This, could put the game away if they can punch in another touchdown before we go in for the halftime break.
Stings have scored on all their possessions. There you see the scoreboard reflecting the domination of the Stingarees tonight, and the Raiders have played a half of football with, it appears, with no first downs on their offensive side of the ledger. Stings have had a bunch of first downs, and they're going for another one as they get for the touchdown. 2nd and goal at the 4. Lawrence goes into the end zone, and Dwayne Gale had it off the fingertips, just in the back part of the end zone. Gale almost with another key catch. He has made a bunch of them tonight.
Almost a good catch. He kind of had to turn around and come and get that ball, and he almost made a good grab that time.
Well, it looks like with a 4th and goal situation that Mark Reeve is going for the field goal. So here is Sean Malandrinkis. This attempt from the 12, a 21-yard field goal attempt with Weldon Lawrence, the holder.
We know he has the foot. If he can, we'll see if he has the accuracy.
The kick is up, and it is good. The field goal good by Sean Malandrinkis with 17 seconds to go in the first half. And again, the Stingarees score. So now I believe it is 6 possessions for the Stings in this first half and 6 scores. And the Raiders right now want to go to halftime as quick as possible.
They're showing why they have went through this district undefeated. An awesome show of power. They have dominated every phase of the game. Special teams, offense, defense. They've just totally dominated so far in this first half. The Raiders, I don't see anybody hanging their heads down. They knew it was going to be a tough battle, and they're going to continue fighting as they've done all year long.
Don't forget, folks, we will show in their entirety the shows of both the Victoria High and Stroman marching bands and the Raider Bells and the Victoria Doors, so you don't want to miss that. We've had a bunch of phone calls. People want to see them. You'll see them tonight, folks.
And it's
kicked short about the 16-yard line, and fielding it there was Armando Caceres, and he will get maybe back to the 20-yard line. Down there, Brian Surovic and Pat Costello.
All but 4 Stingarees on that coverage team was in on the tackle. All but 4. And that says a lot about the Stingarees special teams.
And Bob Erskine has just joined us. Bob, good to see you, sir.
Good to see you, Bob.
Wonder if Bob's been wearing out the highway between here and Alice lately.
Maybe we can
past couple of days. Well, this could be the last play or next to last play as the Raiders try and get something going here.
They should just run out the clock here, Don.
Perez
Back to
swings
pass.
it out.
Got a man open.
In the flat here is Pat
Cavell.
Cavell, stopped short of the 30-yard line. There for the Stings, Trey Tagleboo, and that will end the first half of play. A dominating first half for the Victoria High Stingarees. Here's the score, folks. Victoria High, 37, Stroman, nothing.
It's a shame. It's all right.
Tim, ask Charlie. And we are ready for the start of halftime as the designated visiting team tonight. Of course, as you know, the Stroman Raiders are here from Victoria, of course, but tonight they're the visiting team, and their band and the Raider Bells take stage first. So let's hear and see and enjoy the Stroman Raider Marching Band and the Raider Bells. Take it away, gang. Continue their search for a first down for some offensive production here. Fernando Perez bringing the Raiders back out there, trying to get something going here as we just begin the second half of action.
I think we're going to
stadium.
I think we're going to see them put the ball up in the air this half.
You got it right. There is the completion. It goes out to Lee Todd, and he is just short of the 30-yard line. A gain of about, let's call it about 5 for Lee. I remember his older brother, Vernon Todd. Excellent
yes, sir.
Football player, wide receiver, defensive back, basketball player as well for Stroman about 4 or 5 years ago. On Stroman's only, to this date, only football playoff team. They'll give him 7 on that, so it's 2nd and 3 from the 29 of Stroman. Up the middle it goes to Griffin. He will cross the 35-yard line.
And that's the first down of the night for the Raiders, so they're coming out with a little intensity here in the second half.
Stopped there by Jared Donald. Jeff Griffin gets the first down for the Stroman Raiders at the 35-yard line. A gain of 6 for Griffin.
That previous pass completion, Don, was the first of the game also for the Raiders. Prior to that, they were 0 for 5 in that department. And let's see if they pass on first down here.
In motion, now there's a flag. Here's Bland, and he'll be stopped short of the 40-yard line. In there for the Stingarees, Jared Donald once again on the tackle. And also for the Stingarees, it looks like it was John Hickman as well. But a flag down.
Looks like that one's coming back.
Illegal procedure against the Raiders.
Exactly.
Penalties for Stroman the first half. They had 5 for 31 yards in penalties. The Stings called for just 2 on 10. So that'll set them back 5 back to their 30-yard line. And it'll be a 1st and 15 to go.
Critical drive here for Stroman. They really need to get something going. Now they came out and got the first down. Now a penalty has set them back. It's 1st and 15. So they've got to come back and get 10 of it back right here and try and get another first down.
And off goes to Bland, and he is taken down in there by
I think Jared Donald was
again.
the first one to get a lick on him.
He will gain just a couple. So it's still a second and long situation for the Raiders.
I think Coach Despain has no other choice at this point but to put the ball in the air. Look for tight end Marlon Ransom to run a little Ryson, I'm sorry. To run
3 in the backfield for the Raiders. Hand off to Griffin. Oh, he's not going to go anywhere. The first man for the Stings there, Cole Skiba, defensive end for the Stings, 5'11", 175-pound senior, whose older brother Will played for the Stings a couple of years ago, was the center, all-district center for them. It's going to be a loss of a couple of yards.
You're seeing good sportsmanship on the part of the Stings that time. Skiba made the hit, and then I think that was number 74, Warren Helker, was also in there on the tackle, and he was helping the Raider running back up off the ground. So they're playing hard, but being good sports at it also.
3rd and 15 for the Raiders at their own 31. Fake, Perez goes over the middle, pass is tipped away. Cedric Marshall got his hand in there to tip it away, and the ball goes incomplete, and it's 4th down again.
Last time I think that pass was thrown just had a little too much steam on it that time. Perez is going to have to put a little touch on those types of passes.
Well, the Stings know the Raiders are going to have to pass, and so they're going to get in their defense and pretty much lay back. And here's Bill Beck into punt again. And
let's see if they go for the block, Don.
They had 8 men on the line. Marshall in there, but he is blocked. And there's a nice kick, maybe the nicest in the night. There's Weldon Larson, 34, and he is hit hard.
And flag goes down.
Now down there for the Raiders was Armando Caceres, who really hit him hard. Now there might be a call hitting the receiver after calling a fair catch. Are they saying that Lawrence called for a fair catch?
You definitely want to see that one again.
Referees are talking with the Raiders just about that, so let's see. Interference against the Raiders. So apparently the officials are saying that Lawrence did call for a fair catch, and Caceres...
Another flag. I think we're going to get an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty here.
Ray Despain is on the field, and he is not happy about that at all. Jeff, did you see...
Don,
I
have to be honest, I did not see him call for a fair catch. Now, there may be some rule here where he did not give the punt returner room to catch that ball. That's why I would like to, if we have it, like to see it again. I thought it was fair play myself, but apparently the referees are a little closer than I am, so they threw the flag and then an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty tagged on to it.
Well, it was 15 yards to begin with, the first penalty, and they're talking again with Ray Despain, and he is still unhappy, even though apparently they've assessed a penalty either on him or the bench.
Oh, that flag just came up out of nowhere. And Despain is really upset. He's letting them have it right now. Look at him. He is really upset.
Jeff, that's not only the frustration over that call, I think the frustration of
the
this whole
season. Yes, sir.
Can't get the breaks, and this definitely is a double break against the Raiders. They've assessed the first penalty, I believe. And now there's some more talking in the Raiders huddle there. They're trying to break it up.
Well, you saw the Stroman Raider, Armando Caceres, come down and make a real good hit. I don't know whether he gave him time enough to catch the ball or not. And we're getting more yardage tacked on.
This is the 15-yard penalty against the bench. So instead of the Stings having the ball on their own 34-yard line where Weldon Lawrence was hit, the Stings will now have the ball on the Stroman 37-yard line.
I'm sure
that's a gain of, oh my gosh, 30 yards in 2 penalties. So the Stings get a beautiful break on those 2 calls. And it's a 1st and 10 for the Stings from the Raider 37-yard line. Up the middle it goes. It's Arthur 52 yards, the record for most yards in a season set by Ronald Ramey of Stroman last year. Now, 16 yards away, apparently, is Urban Yates from breaking that record. We'll keep track of that. Here's a 3rd and 3 for the Stings on the Raider 29-yard line.
You can look for him to get the ball again, Don. Right up the middle.
Middle of the 25, the 20, inside the 20-yard line. Stopped in there by Byron Leonard.
Great call. Just looks like a little dive play off left guard, in between left guard and left tackle.
That will be a gain of 12 yards. So now, Urban Yates is 4 yards shy of breaking the city record.
And you saw offensive linemen Casey LaChuga and Ed Hendricks giving each other high fives. They're doing a terrific job up front.
At the 18, 1st and 10, the handoff to Yates across the 20, over the 15, 10, inside the 10, down to the 6-yard line, and that, folks, should be the record. Urban Yates setting the city record for most yards rushing in a season by a VISD rusher as he gets down to the 6-yard line. And there's that run again. Knocked down there by Trent Kitchen, who's been a very active man.
He was hoping to get, I think Urban just outran his blocker that time. He smelled that end zone.
1st and goal at the 6.
Stroman jumps, no flag.
Into the end zone, shots.
Oh, in
They
and
say
out.
it is incomplete, and we thought for a minute there that Clint Tipton, Jr., 6'2", 156 had it, but not quite.
Looked like he was able to get his arms underneath, but apparently not.
Shots passing on the season. There's the pass again. Ooh.
Oh, looks like this man is
very
bounced.
close. Yep.
Yeah.
On
He
the
was
hop.
open. He was open.
Shots passing on the season, 3 completions in 12 attempts, 90 yards. Hasn't thrown that much this year.
2nd and goal now.
Up the middle,
Oh,
Yates.
bounces
off,
touchdown.
and Yates.
I think that
From
was
the
Jarvin Lucas on the hit, and he is still
He is
down.
still
What?
down. You see him
What
there.
a lick. What a
Yates
lick.
celebrates.
Lucas came in, and it was a collision. Yates running full speed.
There you see it.
Ooh.
Wow. That was half on half.
I mean, you're seeing Yates, it's almost indescribable. There's no way you can make that tackle if the running back spins the opposite direction. A good hit by Lucas.
How many how many TDs for Yates tonight? We have 3 touchdowns for Yates. He came into the game with 15 touchdowns in the year. Sean Malandrakis for the extra point. He's getting good at this. He gets it. 6:45 to go, 2nd quarter. Let's take a break. The score now, Victoria High 44 and Stroman nothing. Championship game of 1990 as the Stingarees continue to dominate and now lengthen the lead, Jeff, to 44 points.
Well, I think the Raiders, those penalties definitely hurt them, and I think right now, as you said a while ago, I think some of the frustration for the whole year is starting to show. But you can look for these Raiders to keep scrapping because they know that they've still got a lot of football to play.
And Jarvin Lucas fields at his own 13-yard line across the 20, 25, short of the 30. He is wrestled down by Clint Tipton of the Stingarees. Short of the 30, Jarvin Lucas, who's been doing his best, offensive, defensive, special teams, all he can do for the Raiders.
He's got to be tired. He's going both ways on special teams. He's got to be very tired at this point, as most of the Raider defenders and those playing on defense are. We've got quite a few of them going both ways, by the way, for the Raiders.
So the Raiders come back 1st and 10 at their own 29-yard line. Fernando Perez still in there at quarterback. One setback. Perez looks over the middle and almost intercepted. It was intended in there for Lee Todd, and Marvin Jones almost picked it off. Marvin, 5'8", 137. You could almost call him Starvin' Marvin.
Marvin did the right thing that time. He saw a pass. He was on the defender, and the moment the ball was released, he broke to the ball, and he almost came up with an interception. Had he been a second and a half faster, he could have caught that ball and had 6.
2nd and 10, the 29 Raiders, 2 setbacks, 1 wide out far side. In motion, Pat Cavell. Perez over the middle, double teamed and intercepted by Marvin Jones.
Gone.
He is going to go. Touchdown, Stingarees. Intercepted back around the 37-yard line of the Raiders, and Marvin Jones has put some more points up on the board for the Stingarees.
Jones, again, read that one perfectly. Small fake to the halfback up the middle, and then Perez showed the ball and put it up in the air, and Jones was right there. The pass actually was a little short. I'm not sure which receiver he was actually throwing to at that time. Had it been a little longer, it may have been a touchdown, because one of the Raider offensive ends had gotten behind the defensive secondary that time. But Jones saved them and made a big play.
Extra point attempt by Sean Malandrakis is up, and no good this time for the Stings.
You can bet that's one thing that Coach Reeves is going to work on next week.
I'll tell you what we'd like to do. I'm going to ask Betty Grebsinger a favor. Can we ask her to find out the most one-sided game so far between Victoria High and Stroman in football, as far as in the Stingarees' favor? This is getting pretty out of hand right now, as it's 50-0. Here is the interception once again, Jeff, on the replay.
Here's the fake, and then he puts it up. As you can see, didndidn't quite see the pickoff that time.
Double coverage, it looked like.
Double coverage,
pretty covered.
but number 80 for the Raiders, Armando Caceres, had gotten behind the defensive secondary. So if he'd put a little bit more on that pass, Raiders had an opportunity there. Instead, it turns out 6 points the other direction.
Don't forget, tonight coming up after the ball game, Friday Night Gridiron. We plan to have both head coaches on with us to talk about this ball game. We'll have highlights and key scores from around the area. And also tomorrow, don't forget, we have a great little show at 11:30 in the morning called the NBA Inside Stuff. If you love the NBA, you'll love this show, followed by our Southwest Conference Football Game of the Week live from Waco. It's the Baylor Bears, Robert Strait and company against the Arkansas Razorbacks. And then after that, it'll be the second-ranked Washington Huskies taking on the UCLA Bruins. And receiving that kick is Lee Todd, and he will be short of the 30-yard line. And in there for the Stings, among others, Stephen Diebel, senior, 5'7", 155.
Don, I watched that NBA show you were talking about last Saturday, and it's real entertaining.
Ahmad Rashad and Julie Moran. Did you hear the commentary going back to the Washington Huskies by the coach? Of course, Washington is ranked number 2. The Houston Cougars ranked number 3. And, of course, the Cougars have the big game against Texas tomorrow. Don James, the coach of Washington, felt that the Cougars should not be ranked number 3, should not be ranked at all because the Cougars are on probation.
Well, that's interesting. I didn't hear that. Everybody has their feelings on that. I think the Cougars. I don't think they'll be named national champions, even if they do go undefeated, because of the competition that they've played. And if they beat UT tomorrow, they could end up not having, by the end of the year, not having played a team that finishes in the top 20.
You saw Mark Reed, the Stingarees, a second ago. We'll get back to him in a second. 1st and 10 for the Raiders on their own 30-yard line. They'll try again to start something going. Handoff up the middle. This is Keith Bland. Nice tackle in there after a 3-yard pickup. The tackle made for the Stings. It looks like we'll double-check.
37, I believe it was.
That's Kyle Kincaid.
We've called his number several times on the special teams. I'm not sure if that was him or not.
That was a gain of 4.
It may have been 57, Jeff Tisdale.
No, you were right the first time, Jeff.
Oh, okay.
That was Kyle Kincaid.
All
He's
right.
in there. Stings are
Yeah,
playing
he's at the
some,
linebacker
some
position.
subs in there now on the defense. 2nd and 6 at the 34-yard line. Gain of 4 by Griffin on the last play. The Raiders, I believe, are going to be called for illegal procedure, so Keith Bland can stop running. This play was called off long beforehand. Looked like the near side of the line moved, the left side.
Don, I'm a little surprised at this point that Despain isn't putting the ball up in the air. I mean, you've got to keep going. The Stingarees aren't giving up anything on the ground. So I'm a little surprised to see that they are not coming out and just airing it out here.
We're going to check how many penalties Stroman has so far. That was an illegal procedure penalty, backed him up 5. We have 9 penalties, and we'll check how many yards against Stroman so far. So it's 2nd and 11 for the Raiders. 2 setbacks behind Perez.
71 yards worth of penalties.
Here's Bland across the 30. First met in there by Tyrone Hart, and stopping him later, George Scherer. And I believe also Jeff Tisdale in there.
That was a simple sweep to the left that time.
Okay, we're still checking on that largest one-sided score as far as Victoria High goes in Stroman. Of course, last week Victoria High put up 55 points on Moody in a 55-20 win, so 55 points so far, their most this year. Well, the biggest point total I can remember for the Stings, I think it goes back to a couple of years ago, Jeff, when they scored 63 against Calhoun. That was back in the first game of the '88 season. So it's 3rd and 7. There's a gain of 4 for Griffin. 3rd and 7 at the Raider 33. Perez sideline route. It is complete to Griffin, and he is tackled by Kincaid and also Greg Mikacek.
I believe that was Bland on the reception, and it took quite a few people to bring him down.
Bland, yes.
But unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. They needed a pass option that time or something that would get them at least 10 yards.
Gain of 0 on that play, so it's now a 4th down, and once again, Bill Beck into punt.
Another punting situation. A lot of substitutes for the Stingarees now, Don.
Except for Weldon Lawrence, who's still back in there hanging around back to receive the kick, even though he got a rude awakening the last time. That kick, it's a wobbly one. Inside the 45, and almost to the 40, down to about the 41-yard line. So a kick for Bill Beck of 26 yards. And the Stings take it from there. And Les Schatz comes back in. Yates still in there.
Looks like the first-team offensive line still isn't going to get a break. Yates still in there.
Chris Little and Kerry Droz, starters in there. Little comes out near side wide, and Droz comes out wide on the far side. Hand off to Yates over the 45. Stop there.
We got about 5 or 6.
In there, we see Michael Cooper in there and a couple others.
Yates still running hard. Still running hard here in the 3rd quarter. 3 minutes and 20 seconds left.
Maybe they're seeing if he can break the record he set a couple of weeks ago for most yards in a game. Okay, they say that is the official breaking of the record right there, as Urban Yates has now set the single-season record for most yards gained by a BISD running back, breaking the record set last year by Ronald Ramey of Stroman. So that old record, 1,552 yards, I do believe, yes, by Ramey last year, and so Yates has got it. 6-yard carry on that play, 2nd and 4. Dead ball foul now, and it goes against the Stingarees.
We got a nice hand from the crowd for breaking that city record. Well, I'll let this play go off, and then I'll ask you.
Under 3 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. 2nd and 10, Stings at the 41. Handoff is to Yates. He's trying to get around Michael Cooper. He does. At the 45, now at the 50. And Russell out of bounds at short of the 40-yard line. There for the Raiders, Kenny Smith. And a
flags fly from everywhere. Late hit on the Raiders. I believe number 70 on the Raiders.
Kenny Smith looked to have a clean tackle, but maybe the way he spun him around, the referees didn't like that. Come on, check that on replay, see if they had that. See if we can see exactly what happened there. It is a personal foul, late hit against the Raiders.
And the frustration really starting to show now. This defense is very tired. They've been on the field all night long, and as I said, they've got about as many as a minimum of 4 people going both ways, and probably more than that, seeing action both offensively and defensively. Yates out of the game.
Yates, there he is. Keep your shirt on, buddy.
It looks like he's unbuckling those shoulder pad straps. I think he's done for the night, and he gets another big hand from this crowd.
And it's the Stingarees ball now, the 28-yard line of the Raiders after the penalty assessed. Shots at quarterback, handoff up the middle. This is our
good run.
Across the 20-yard line, stopped there by Jason Elkins for the Raiders.
Luna showing that he's a force to be reckoned with also here. And now some of the big hogs up front starting to get a break.
Hendricks is
line,
out,
Hendricks.
and Lechuga is out, and Johnny Green also taken out, now in.
I'll tell you what,
Gale.
Irvin Yates needs to shake those guys' hands because they have done a good job. Yates and Kevin Alex, they've opened up humongous holes for them all night long.
1st and 10 at the 19. Handoff goes up the middle to Luna. Get down to the 15-yard line. Jason Elkins in there, and also Gary Walters in the tackle. A lot of the Raiders starters are still in there because, folks, on the Raider roster tonight, 26 players. That's the total Raider varsity football roster here in the last game of the 1990 season. So not a whole lot of time for breaks. These guys probably figured they knew that they had to play 48 yards. There's a gain of 3 by Luna in that last play. It's 2nd and 7 at the Raider 12-yard line. Pitch back goes to Duffy Jewett across the 10, the 5, and in for the Stingaree touchdown.
Good run by Jewett.
Duffy Jewett from 12 yards out and put more points up on the board for Victoria High. And there's the double high five, low five, I guess, Cedric Marshall and Duffy Jewett. There's a young man who would be a starting running back, I think, on a lot of other teams, starting tailback, but how do you start ahead of Irvin Yates in the season?
Definitely. He showed that he can run the ball as he went up in there and just ran through some tacklers that time.
Sean Malandrakis, whose foot now just out of the ice bag, trying another extra point here, and he's going to get this one. Sean gets it through the uprights. 1:27 to go in the 3rd quarter, folks. It's 57-0, Victoria High leading. You know, Jeff, we thought that this may be kind of one-sided. Now, here's the touchdown game. Let's talk about this.
Okay, yes. As you can see, it's a strong formation to the right side and just a simple pitch back. And I don't think anybody got a hand on him until he was about at the 3-yard line. And Duffy's pretty strong also, and he just ran right on through the swipe that time.
Fought off Pat Cavell's tackle and went into the end zone. And for Jewett, I believe that's touchdown number 1. I believe that's touchdown number 1 on the night for James Jewett. Going into the game tonight, Jewett had scored 6 touchdowns. Counted up as number 7 for him. And he is a junior, I do believe.
And Don, I see some of the people starting to head home, it looks like.
It's kind of a cool night here tonight. Maybe they're getting home to watch this.
Well, as I said before the opening kickoff, this is really the first evening that we really have that cool football weather. So I think a lot of people were really fired up and ready to come and watch some good football, and they've seen it on the part of the Victoria Stingarees tonight.
New kickoff, man. That was George Scherer. And handling it for Stroman is Armando Caceres, and he is breaking the tackle, almost broke the tackle of Bruce Huddleston, but not quite. Armando Caceres doing a great job on that kickoff return, getting it back to the 48-yard line of Stroman.
Great job. I mean, Huddleston just really had to hold on for dear life that time.
Armando Caceres, 5'8", 157 senior.
That Don, was Stroman's first real threat of scoring in this ball game. Had he broken that tackle, he had nothing but clear sailing. Another 50 yards to go, though.
Is this the best field position of the night so far for the Raiders? 48, their own 48-yard line with 3 in the backfield behind Perez. Now in motion, Lopez. Pitch back goes to Pat Cavell, and he is not going anywhere. In there for the Stingarees, Stephen Diebel to make the tackle. Stephen Diebel, a senior, 5'7", 61-55.
Good job that time. He got back there and got a hand on him and just held on and wrestled him down.
A loss of 7.
Stephen raised the Steers. Has won raised several grand champion steers, Don, for the local livestock show. So he's used to wrestling down.
Steer wrestling
yeah.
there on that one. Second down and 17. In motion, Chris Solis. The handoff
Big hole.
goes to Pat Cavell. He will go across the 45-yard line.
Looks like Colin Kincaid stuck a paw out there and tripped Cavell up.
Gain of 7 for Cavell.
Keith Bland, running back for the Raiders, getting a break now. Cavell running a little bit, and now I see Byron Leonard coming into the game.
And also going out for the Raiders at this point is Brian Lopez. Fine two-way player for the Raiders, a senior. This is his last game for Stroman, as is for so many different others. That is the end of the third quarter of play. So after 3 quarters of play, the score, Victoria High, 57, Stroman, nothing. Left in the city championship football game of 1990 with the Victoria High Stingarees holding a commanding, I'd say maybe a doubly commanding score of 57-0, the edge over the Stroman Raiders tonight.
This one is, it's pretty much a done deal now. Stroman playing for pride. Still see some of the defenders clapping their hands there. I should say some of the offensive linemen on the Raiders, they're still giving it their all.
Second and 12 at the 42. Perez has trouble with the snap. Looks over the middle, trying to go to Marlon Rison, and
he was tripped up by his own man that time.
Tripped up by John Collier, got a little mix-up in there.
Rison just had a hard time getting off of the line of scrimmage that time. That's going to bring up 4th down.
4th down for the Raiders. How many punts so far for Bill Beck tonight? Looks like Beck is going to come back in to punt. This will be punt number 7. This will be punt number 8. Pardon me. Going into the game tonight, Beck had 25 punts during the whole season. 25 in 9 games, and tonight he has 8, so that's way above his average per game for number of punts. End over end, calling for a fair catch this time. Jewett, and he fumbled it, but he falls
very wisely
on
that ball.
And he will get back at his own 18-yard line.
A lot of times at this level, Don, you'll see some high school students try and pick up that ball and run with it. But back in that deep in your own territory like that, Jewett was smart enough to fall on it. And again, it speaks of the discipline that this Victoria High School team has.
Stings have the ball on their own 19-yard line. Be interested to see if the Stings have punted at all tonight. They have not punted at all tonight. Up the middle, Arthur Luna. He is stopped in there by, that's Brian Lopez, but not before a gain of about 5 yards to the 23-yard line. Folks, we have an NFL game this Sunday at 3 o'clock. The Denver Broncos and the San Diego Chargers. San Diego actually has a better record than Denver. Who would have believed that? John Elway says he's 75% ready. That means he'll play. Here's a 2nd and 5. Pitch back to Jewett over the 25. Short of the 30-yard line. He's stopped in there by a couple of players. It looks like it's Chris Caceres and Jeff Griffin. Caceres and Armando Caceres and Chris Caceres, apparently brothers, I'm assuming. Chris, 5'6", 211, a senior.
Don, right now this is a good opportunity for some of the second stringers to get a chance to play, because when they get into the playoffs, you never know when that player in front of you is going to go down. So you have to get some kind of experience. You have to get into the games. You can practice all you want, but there's nothing like getting into the games and being able to play.
Gain of 4 on the last play is 3rd and 1. Up the middle it goes, but it looks like it's going to be a flag against the Raiders, even though the Stings probably will get the first down anyway on too many. That's the 4th penalty. And let's check how many. 20 yards in penalties. Well, there's another reason why the Stingarees have dominated this ball game, Jeff. Very few mistakes.
Exactly. I think they have executed all facets of the game.
We're very happy to be able to show you this, folks. Hope to maybe work out something to do a Stingaree playoff game the next couple of weeks. That'd be fun, too. Here's the handoff going to Bronson Garner to the 25-yard line. And Lucas in there to make the tackle. And Les Schatz is going to punt. This is first time to punt. This is the first punt of the game for the Stingarees. Les was in there, I think, once before to punt, but they ran the fake, and that set up the second touchdown. So I think at this point, they may actually go punt it.
Yeah, I think Coach Reeve will make sure that they punt this ball. They only need 3 yards for the first down. But I think it's safe to say they'll punt with a 57-0 lead.
Byron Leonard back to receive. Flags down.
Almost blocked.
Beautiful punt by Les Schatz. Back to his 33. It's Byron Leonard, and no room to go. There's Cedric Marshall. There's Jared Donald, and there is Bruce Huddleston on the tackle. Just a whole bunch of Stingarees there. Also, I believe was is Cole Skiba there too.
Well, that was a beautiful punt.
It looked like a punt of 43 yards, pardon me, 43 yards by Les Schatz. And Les, going into the game, had an average of 33.9, so he's going to improve that dramatically. But there's a flag down on the field. There's a flag at the back of the line of scrimmage. And at the middle of the field, the Stings and the Raiders are talking with the officials. Let's see what it's all about.
Don, I guess Les had been waiting all night to punt, and he really got into that one. He put some foot into that ball.
It's going to go against the Stings, so Les said, hey, give me my shoe back. So he's putting his sock back on, his shoe back on, and hey, buddy, do it all over again.
No,
offsides against the Raiders, so now we know why he's putting the shoe and the sock back on. He's going to quarterback the Stings. That gives the Stingarees a first down. That penalty, that offsides penalty.
Well,
what else can go wrong for the Stroman Raiders tonight? So it's a first down for the Stingarees at their own 31-yard line. Another penalty against the Stroman Raiders. Up the middle,
ooh.
Luna first hit by Lucas, and make the tackle finally is Chris Juarez.
And as I said, Don, you can see the Raiders are still hitting hard. They're still playing hard despite being down 57-0, and you have to really take your hat off to the Stroman Raiders for being able to really take this and to continue playing like this. A lot of teams would have given up by now.
Gain of 4, 2nd and 6 to the 32-yard line. Pitch back, Duffy Jewett over the 30, the 35, and stopped. Oh, he'll get the 40-yard line after all. In there to make the tackle will be Gary Walters.
Good strong run by Duffy Jewett that time. He kept those legs pumping, and that's how you're supposed to do it. He was hit once, and he kept running. I think they're going to measure this one.
Gain of 8 yards by Duffy Jewett. Jewett, before the ball game tonight, had 425 yards rushing. We're going to check on his rushing totals on the night. This is going to be less than a yard short for James Duffy Jewett, number 3. We're going to check his rushing stats. So it's going to be a third down and less than a yard to go at the 40. 24 yards rushing so far for Jewett. With 8:14 to go here in the final quarter. And it's 3rd and 1 for the Stings. Irvin Yates, by the way, if you just missed, has set the city's single-season rushing record. That's why Duffy Jewett's in there. The handoff up the middle to Luna has a gaping hole, and if not for one man for the Raiders stopping and getting a shoestring out, it looked like it was Kenny Smith who got a hand on it, number 70. Also, I believe Keith Bland also had a hand out there, too, so.
Luna was definitely off to the races, and you could see him starting to accelerate.
Give him a gain of 9 for Arthur Luna. Luna Tunes, they call him Pinball, too. And whatever, he's doing the job. The Stings are, too. 1st and 10, Stings at their own 49-yard line. Les Johnson at quarterback. Over the middle it goes. That's Arthur Luna again. Luna will get to the 47-yard line. That's one of the things good about the Stingarees. Also, they have that depth. You have Urban Yates, you have James Duffy Jewett, you have Arthur Luna. We saw a lot of Kevin Alex in the first half.
Yes, Luna is definitely doing a good job coming in off the bench now.
A gain of 4 for Luna on that last one at the 47-yard line of Stroman now. 2nd and 6. Pitch back goes to Bronson Garner over the 40 down to the 36-yard line. Stopped there by Lee Todd.
Great hole opened up that time.
Forgot to mention about Bronson Garner. Yeah, Bronson Garner's in there also, rushing well for the Stingarees. That's a gain of 11 yards. And there's the play again.
Watch this hole this time over on the left side. Good block there, 2 good blocks. He was into the secondary before he was ever touched.
1st and 10, Stings, the ball inside the 36-yard line of Stroman as they go for another score. Here's Luna up the middle again. He is going to be stopped this time. Jason Sierra hanging on to him. Now Jason says he has the football. He's running at the 50-yard line. Jason, come on back with that football because the ball was down. But Jason did make a good stop.
Byron Leonard gets up slowly. He came flying in on the end of that play, and I think he may have twisted an ankle.
Byron missed a bunch of early season games. He was hurt in the first game, I believe, and missed games 3 through 5 and came back and has played well for the Raiders. That was a gain of 4 in that last one at the 32. And up the middle it goes to Luna again. Stopped in there by Kenny Smith. And also it's Chris Juarez. A couple of Stings help up the Raiders. That's good to see. It was a gain of 3 for Luna. 3rd and 3 as we're under 6 minutes to go in this ball game. Don't forget, after this ball game, Friday Night Gridiron. We'll plan to have both coaches. We'll have highlights and live interviews and more. Here's Garner again over the 30, the 25, to the 20, and to the 15-yard line. Pulling with them, Lee Todd. Oh, Bronson Garner, folks.
Great run. He made a couple of good cuts that time, Don, that really enabled him to get some extra yardage.
Bronson Garner, folks, is a junior. He is 5'5", 149. Built like a fire plug, and he gained some pretty good yards there down to the 16-yard line of Victoria High.
They'll get him into the weight room over the summer and put some muscle on him, and he could really be a great running back next year.
5:15 to go. The handoff goes to Luna. Well, he'll be stopped this time about the 15-yard line. And there, Brian Lopez, and also there, Gary Walters. 5 minutes to go in this one. And I guess still the Stings have not officially punted because that Les Shots punt was wiped out for an offsides against the Stroman Raiders, so the Stings could go a whole game without punting. Interesting. 2nd and 9. Stingarees at the Raiders' 16-yard line. A little movement inside. Here's Luna again, stopped at about the 15-yard line, and there for the tackle is Gary Walters again, a very active young man. Walters playing his last game for the Raiders, 5'11", 194, doing a fine job tonight.
For the, what is it, Don, 16 seniors on the Raiders squad?
Right.
For these seniors, this is definitely a bitter pill to swallow. I'm sure they did not want to go out like this.
No gain on that play, so it's 3rd and 9. Stingarees of the Raider 15-yard line. The pitch back goes to Garner. He'll be getting just about a yard, and in there to make the tackle is Bill Beck, and Beck looked a little bit shaken up. Thought he was holding his knee there for a second, but he's okay. Good to see. Beck, another senior, 6'2", 224. He's been punting and I believe playing both ways. Yes, playing both ways for the Raiders tonight. Right tackle on offense and defensive tackle for these. So the Stingarees are stopped. It's 4th and 8.
So far, Don, they've done it all on the ground on this drive. It's been a long march. They're going to go for it here.
All right, 4th and 8. At the Raider 14. Interesting call here. Let's see what happens. Up the middle to Garner. He will be stopped considerably short of the first down. And there's Gary Walters again with the tackle. So he needed 8 yards, and Garner got about 3. So the ball is turned over to the Raiders. So I believe, Jeff, that may be the first time that the Stingarees have had a possession end without a score. That Tim Strawbridge,
so.
our statistician, says yes, that is correct.
And your
And
option,
that happens with 3:19 to go in the game.
as a coach, Don, you have to admire Coach Reeve. As your options there are kick another field goal and make it 60-0, or throw to the end zone, and you definitely don't want to do that. So he just ran a conservative call up the middle, and if you get the first down, you get it, and if
What
you don't,
is
you don't.
this here? 3 offensive linemen. There you see it. 3 wideouts on each side, 3 on the line, and 1 setback. Are they going to pass? Yes. It's to Marlon Risen. He crosses the 20. He's stopped there by Marvin Jones and also Brian Surovic. Well, that's an interesting call.
Probably caught the Stingarees off guard that time. I'm surprised we haven't seen it before now. It went for a pretty good gain, actually.
A gain of 13 yards for the Raiders on that one, so that's a first
Here we go
down.
again. Same thing again.
Okay. 3 down linemen, 3 wideouts on each side, 1 setback behind Fernando Perez.
On the other side of the field, you only have 2 people trying to cover 3
Perez
people.
runs the option, makes a nice cutback there before finally stops short of the 35-yard line. In there again, Surovic.
That's interesting because the Stingarees only had really 1 man over there on all 3 of those players, and then they had 1 kind of set off to the side.
Have you ever seen a set like that?
Never seen it.
I've never seen a set
I don't
like
even know
this
what you
before.
call it.
I don't know either. We'll have to ask Coach Despain tonight on Friday Night Gridiron. There you see the time under 2.5 minutes to go in the ball game. Now they're back in a closed set. But 2 wideouts far side. And now in motion, it's Armando Cáceres. And now here's Perez still with the ball. Short of the 40-yard line. Stopped in there by Jeff Tisdale. It's a Stroman Raider, first down.
This has got to be...
Raiders, I know the time is running out. We have just a hair over 2 minutes to go in the ball game. But I know Stroman would love to score at least 1 time. To get something on the board tonight.
It's a matter of pride.
This is the most first downs they've had in one drive. They had a couple of first downs in this drive. Perez barking signals out near side to Cáceres.
Now what?
Now Perez is in
Shotgun.
motion, and it goes back
Throw
to
back to Perez. It's
Lee
going to be...
Todd, and Perez goes down the field. Oh, interference is called. Perez went out for the pass, and it'll be interference called on Tyrone Hart. As Perez went up for the football, Tyrone Hart just grabbed him and yanked him down, and they will call pass interference on the Stingarees.
On the last drive of the game, Stroman pulls out some pretty nice gadget plays. It would have been nice to see some of these perhaps in the second half, or in the second quarter, I should say.
Here it is again, Jeff.
Okay, Perez gets under center, barks out some signals. Now he's going to go in motion. The snap will go deep to Lee Todd, who's lined up in the tailback position. There's the throw, and there's the early contact.
So it is from the line of scrimmage. The penalty is 15 yards, so it goes down to the 45-yard line out of Victoria Hines, 1st and 10, and then another first down for the Raiders.
Let's see if anything comes out of the bag of tricks this time.
1 wide out near side, 2 setbacks. Here's Perez. And off the hands, and it is caught by Marlon Risen, who's off the hands of Stephen Diebel. The reception by Marlon Risen.
Boy, Diebel will see that one over and over again tonight. That ball was thrown right at him and just went right off of his fingertips and into the hands of Risen. Don, while we have some time, we want to thank some people. Well, here's the replay again. There's Diebel, and Risen played the tip drill perfectly there. But as I started to say, while we have some time, we want to thank some people down in the truck. Charlie Smithy, our chief engineer, who makes all of this possible, along with Mark DeLaurier, who's directing the show, photographers, Greg Hamilton.
Gain of 6 in that last play, so it's, gain of 5, 2nd and 5. The handoff goes to Bland. He will cross the 35-yard line.
Down.
Tackled in there by the Stings, Jeff Tisdale and Brian Cervic.
We don't want to forget about Wayne Frazier, who's operating one of the other cameras, and all the people that made this possible. We look hopefully forward to maybe doing another game again, maybe one of the Stingaree playoff games. But we want to thank all of those people and, of course, everybody else at KAVU who makes this possible. And couldn't do it without Tim Strawbridge up here in the booth with us, keeping the stats for us.
Thanks for Betty Grimsinger also for telling us tape delay live. It's been an interesting week around here. It's been a great week, I should mention, for this station when you consider with all the effort put in by the news department on the election returns and then doing this. It's not a cast of thousands, folks, at KAVU. It's a cast of less than 100, and they've all done a great job this week, and I'm very proud to be with them. And I'll tell you what, 47 seconds to go. The Stingarees are up at right now 57-0. These people you saw there in the stands are staying to the bitter end. They're going to count this down. I want to see the Stings finish undefeated in district, 8-0. Now, Stroman wants to put some points on the board from the 45.
Tip ball again.
There's Rising, the 30-25, and inside the 25-yard line.
Right now, Stroman is just not giving up. They see the opportunity to not get shut out, and they are really going for it. They're playing all out. They're giving it their all to the end here.
Down to the 23-yard line, and the clock has stopped with 38 seconds to go. And I believe there may be
Here's a replay.
time on the field. Yeah.
This ball was actually tipped. The second ball tonight that has been tipped and fallen into the hands of Ryson.
Trey Taglebrew also is there from a tackle for the Stingarees. The clock is still not running, 38 seconds to go. Now the clock has started. Beg your pardon, it's still stopped. Okay. Well,
may have been a timeout called somewhere there, but I'm...
Perez over the middle. Now he's going deep in the end zone. Oh, off the fingertips of Armando Cáceres.
He was open.
And it looked like he got tangled up there for a second with Stephen Diebel around the 5-yard line.
I believe actually that was Jones. Marvin Jones.
Okay. So maybe we can check him on replay to see which one was covering
He was
Cáceres'
open.
play.
Here we
Let's
go.
see it again here. And it was Tyrone Jones. 1 for Jeff, 0 for Don tonight.
Well, I looked up and saw Jones kind of shaking his head, and he's kind of limping there, and I don't know if their feet actually were tangled up, or I really don't know how he fell, but...
32 seconds to go. The Raiders trying to put something on their side of the board. Here's Perez going
right
to the
back
end
at him.
zone.
This time Jones...
Cáceres kind of ran the wrong way. I got kind of confused on that. Jones is down there in coverage, and also it looks like it was Trey Taglebrew there as well.
They went right back at Jones. This time he made sure that Cáceres did not get behind him. I think he may be cramping a little bit. It seems like he's trying to work some kinks out of his foot there. I don't know.
27 seconds left in this game, and well, here's the understatement of the night. This one belongs to the Stingarees, but the Raiders just want to, there you see, the Raiders just want to get something out of that visitor scoring column.
They want to get the goose egg off the scoreboard. Here's another
3
strange
wideouts near
lineup.
side, 2 wideouts far side, 4 men.
Some
There's a
motion.
flag
Now
down
the
on that.
flag comes.
And the pass incomplete, intended for Jarvin Lucas.
Well, these
Flag
referees
down.
are real slow with their flags tonight. I think he was sitting back there trying to decide, should I throw this flag or should I not? And I think at the last minute he decided to go ahead on and throw it. There was some movement in the Stroman backfield.
Illegal motion against the Raiders. Let's check and see how many penalties against the Raiders tonight. It's been a ton. And also check the yardage at the same time.
I guess the Raiders are not even thinking about a field goal here. They need 10 yards for the first.
23 seconds to go at the 23-yard line of Victoria High. Stroman has the ball.
Hands it
Up
right
the
up the middle. Nothing doing.
3 or 4 yards maybe to Jarvin Lucas, but that is going to, well, I was going to say that's going to end the ball game, but the clock has stopped because the Raiders on 4th down could not convert, so the Stingarees will have the ball, and with 17 seconds to go and up 57-0, I have a good idea what the Stings will do here on this play.
Oh, somewhat of a surprising call to end the drive that time after pulling out all of the stops, 4th and 10, and maybe they thought they saw something up the middle and were just catching them off guard.
You're going to hear a very loud ovation on this side here in just a couple of seconds. Those shots are just going to fade back, and he's just going to kneel down, and that is going to do it. The Stingarees start to celebrate on their sideline, and watch the...
they're trying to get Reeves with the Gatorade down there. You get a shot of that. They're trying to get Reeves with the Gatorade.
Urban Yates.
It's over.
And, let's see who got it. I think Wayne Condra, defensive coordinator, got a little bit of it, but not everything. That is the end of the ball game, the 1990 City Championship, as they try to dunk everybody with ice and icy water on the Victoria High sideline. We can tell you now, the final score, Victoria High 57, and the Stroman Raiders nothing. We'll take a break, try and give you some final stats, and stick around. We'll be right back in just a moment. Scene there you see on the Victoria High side as the players of Victoria High and Stroman get together in the middle of the field to exchange congratulations, and I see a couple of Raiders and Stingarees hugging each other. It's a hard-fought battle. It's been a long year for both sides, and for one side it will still continue as Victoria High heads to the playoffs. And the scoring rundown tonight, the first quarter, well, it's all Stingarees, folks. The quarterback sneaked by Weldon Lawrence, and the Stings led 6-0. Still in the first quarter, a 10-yard run for a touchdown by Urban Yates. Urban, the two-point pass was good for the Stingarees to Dwayne Gale from Weldon Lawrence. It was 14-0 at that point. In the second quarter, a 2-yard touchdown run by Kevin Alex. Point no good, 20-0. Alex again from the 2 in the second quarter, and VHS up the lead 27-0. And before the first half was over, 2 more scores for the Stings. A 42-yard run or 48-yard run?
I think it's 48-yard run.
By Yates. 48-yard run by Urban Yates, his second touchdown of the night. Extra point good, 34-0. Sean Malandrinkas with a field goal from 22 yards out. At the end of the first half, 37-0 Stings. Stings scored 3 more touchdowns in the third quarter. Yates in a 6-yard run to make it 44-0 with the extra point. And then it was Jones, I believe. Let's double check that to make sure.
I'm not sure who that. Yeah, that was Jones on the interception return.
Okay,
Marvin
that's
Jones.
right. That's right. Marvin Jones on the 38-yard interception return. The extra point is no good, 50-0. And then James Duffy Jewett finished up the scoring in the third quarter of a 12-yard touchdown run. No scoring at all by either team in the fourth quarter. The extra point is good after the last touchdown. 57-0. There you see a happy bunch of Stingarees. And Jeff, it was an impressive performance from start to finish for Victoria High.
Very much so, Don. They dominated the entire game. They dominated in offense, defense, special teams. It's definitely a memorable night for the entire Stingaree team and coaching staff. Urban Yates, just another phenomenal showing, broke the VISD city rushing record. On the other hand, for the Stroman Raiders, it puts an exclamation mark on a season that they probably would just want to forget.
You saw Dwayne Gale there a moment ago. It looked like Gale had his leg in a cast of some kind on crutches, and that's bad news for the Stings. He had a great night. There's Jared Donald, the homecoming king, number 33, and next to Mark Reeve as the Stingarees get ready to face the crowd. And, of course, the Stroman Raiders, their season is over, finished up 1-9. Their only win came in the first game of the season, and I'm sure the Raiders and Raiders Spain are kind of happy at this point, Jeff, that the season is just over.
The good point is that the season is over, Don. One thing that I have to give them, they continue to play hard, even though the obstacles were stacked against them. For much of from the beginning of the season, losing 3 starters, and then you had a tremendous amount of injuries. So it's a season that has been rough and tough for them, but yet they came out tonight and played real hard, but unfortunately for the Raiders, Don, they were just outmatched tonight.
And there, you saw Cedric Marshall, I believe, with a kid on his shoulders. There's Irvin Yates, I believe, and those guys. Yeah, there's Cedric with a kid on his shoulders, and it's been a great night and a great season for them. And now, we also want to thank our sponsors, by the way, who helped out on this show tonight. We appreciate their support and hope they'll stick around and sponsor another ball game or two if the Stingarees go in the playoffs. The only reason I say if is that there is this one question mark that is left to be decided. That's Monday after another couple of 35A district meetings. Jeff, I've got to believe that the Stingarees have a case that can't be beat.
I agree with you, Don. Apparently they took the situation before the Texas Education Agency. The agency gave its stamp of approval, but it looks like, again, the district committee is not satisfied with that. Now, as you said earlier in the show, they invited the TEA member to be in at this meeting. What we need to find out, I guess, is what power does the executive committee have over, say, keeping this team out of the playoffs, and what power does the TEA have? And maybe that's a question we'll have to address to Bob Brazina, Mark Reeve, or Bob Erskine, the principal at Victoria High.
We may just address that question to Mark Reeve tonight on Friday Night Gridiron, which is coming up immediately following this ball game. That's going to wrap it up for us. Once again, the final score of the 1990 City Football Championship, the Victoria High Stingarees 57 and the Stroman Raiders nothing. Jeff, pleasure to work with you again. Tim Strawbridge,
likewise, Don, likewise.
Hope to do it again real soon. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you just coming up in a couple minutes on Friday Night Gridiron. For Jeff Williams, Tim Strawbridge, our entire cast of characters here, thanks for watching, and good night, everybody.